Glad to have you with us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for stopping by. As we have a brand new rumors mailbag to get to. And here's what we got here on today's show, folks. You guys submitted several questions, a lot about free agent targets. And that is going to be the main focus of today's show. You guys have questions. I have answers. We'll dive into all of it coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, a quick question I have for the Chiefs Kingdom. How many Chiefs all-time quarterbacks can you name? All right? I'll give you one, Patrick Mahomes. Now, it's up to you to figure out who can come up with the most. Here's what you got to do. I need one individual comment for each quarterback you can come up with. And whoever can come up with the most individual comments of quarterbacks, you're going to get a shout-out on the show at some point next week. So there's the challenge. Let's see how you guys do. Let's begin with our first question from Arrowhead Proud writing in. Could you see the Kansas City Chiefs signing Deebo Samuel? So let's give some context to this situation first when it comes to Deebo Samuel. He is not a free agent at the moment. Key words there, at the moment. I do expect that to change. Deebo Samuel is not going to return to the San Francisco 49ers next year. That seems to be a foregone conclusion at this point. It's just a matter of how does he depart at this point in time? Will he be traded? Will he be released? And because NFL teams are fully aware that the Niners are not going to bring back Deebo Samuel, I don't expect anyone to be willing to trade for Deebo Samuel unless they are a sucker. And there are several teams that are suckers in this league, so you can't completely rule it out. But with that said, I anticipate that Deebo will eventually be released and will be available in free agency for a much cheaper contract than what he's being paid now. And the reason why, you can see the numbers on your screen. His statistics have fallen off a cliff in recent memory. Go back to 2021, he was great. Over 1,400 yards, hasn't been that way since. Still a solid player, and I think he would be a very good fit in this Chiefs offense. And especially with Xavier Worthy doing his thing, running the ball, I could see him and Deebo getting very creative with what you could do with this offense potentially. I think for the right price, by all means, Deebo could be here in Kansas City, but you're sure as hell not trading for his ass, I can tell you that much. Should the Chiefs, if Deebo becomes available in free agency, sign Deebo Samuel? And if you bring in Deebo, you don't have to pay Hollywood Brown either. That's an upgrade. Weigh in our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know. S for sign, P for pass, if the Chiefs should sign Deebo Samuel or not. Bleed Red and Yellow writes in, if Kyle Pitts is released, would he be a good fit? Very good question there. Bleed in Red Yellow. I would say this. So at the time of this recording, the last report we got on Travis Kelce was that he is likely to come back to Kansas City. And obviously things can change, but at the time of this recording, it sounds like Travis Kelce's coming back. But if we see that he is not back, then you got to start weighing your options. And I like Noah Gray, but I don't like him as your number one tight end. I like him as your number two tight end. And if Kelce's gone, and you're looking for somebody that can step up right away, I think Kyle Pitts could be a nice fit. And the thing that I would say about Kyle Pitts, I don't blame him for this necessarily. I think a lot of it has to do with the situation he has been in, with just kind of the problems that we've seen in Atlanta with their last two coaching staffs. I don't think he's been put in the best situation to succeed. And what has been Andy Reid's calling card his entire coaching career is that he gets the most out of his offensive players. And I have every reason to think that Kyle Pitts has not forgotten how to play football and that he still can be that receiver that he was in 2021 when he had over 1,000 yards and 15 yards of reception. So with that said, I like the idea of Kyle Pitts. If he doesn't come back to Atlanta, if Travis Kelce's not back, I think that's a potential solid option for Kansas City. But if Travis Kelce's coming back, then I would be very surprised if Kyle Pitts did come to Kansas City. Should the Chiefs bring in Kyle Pitts? What do you think about that possibility? You got two options here. Type Y for yes, in for no. Chime in. Let us know if you think they should bring in Kyle Pitts or not. Got a great deal for Chiefs fans. We got hats on sale for 50% off. All sorts of different styles to choose from the baseball cap to the flat bill. You can go see for yourself. Hats are on sale for up to 50% off while supplies last. That's chatsports.com/Chiefs hats. We have all these hats you're seeing on your screen, as well as several different options. And we have other Chiefs gear available for you as well. Go see for yourself now. Chatsports.com/Chiefs hats to get yours today. That's chatsports.com/Chiefs hats. The link is in the comments and description of today's video to get your Chiefs hats now. Chiefsaholics Burner writes in, straight from jail. What about signing Matthew Judon? So Matthew Judon, a little bit older now. Another player that was with the Falcons last year, was with New England for a while, Baltimore before that. And I got to tell you, I've always been a fan of Matthew Judon. I was very surprised with how solid he played in New England those last couple of seasons. Obviously had that injury that kept him out for most of the year in 2023, but he was on a great pace with 4 sacks prior to that in 4 games, 15.5 and 7 in 2022, 12.5 in 2021. And then this past season was a down year for him as he was limited to 41 tackles, 7 TFLs, and 5.5 sacks. I think the Judon can be a nice cheap piece. I don't expect him to cost a ton for whatever team potentially signs him. And I'll say this. You look at the Chiefs' pass rush of some of the players they've had this past year. We know Karlaftis is a stud. We know Chris Jones is a stud. But beyond that, things have been kind of underwhelming. Charles Omenihu was solid coming back from injury. King Felix has never become that guy. I think you got to start weighing your options and seeing guys that can be pass rush specialists. Matthew Judon could potentially be that for Kansas City and get him to a 1 or 2 year deal, cheap contract. I think it might be worth taking a shot potentially. Who's a free agent the Chiefs should sign? Who comes to mind? Whether it's Matthew Judon, whether it's Kyle Pitts, Deebo Samuel, give me a name that you would like to see in Kansas City in 2025. Chime in that comment section. Let us know. Last question comes from Big Red's Burgers. Would it make sense to sign Greg Newsom II? Greg Newsom II is another fantastic football player. And I hate that his talent has been wasted in the no man's land known as Cleveland, Ohio, where it's the mistake by the lake, one of the nastiest cities in all of America, right? On top of having such a bad football team. And you look at Greg Newsom, I think that he's been a very good nickel back. That's been his primary role in Cleveland. And you look at this Kansas City Chiefs team next year, McDuffie, of course, playing at all pro level as one of your outside corners. Jalen Watson should be fully healthy next year as one of your outside corners. Connor is not a bad football player, but Newsom would be an upgrade. And then you could have some flexibility potentially with Connor as your other nickel back. Maybe you move him around in the defensive back role, whatever it may be. Newsom would be a good fit. But when you see the production and how well he's played, I don't expect him to be cheap. I think that he's going to go somewhere that can pay him more money than what Kansas City would likely be able to afford when it comes to that front. So as much as I like Greg Newsom, I would be surprised. I would say that of the players that we've mentioned on today's show, he might be the least likely to end up in Kansas City just because of the bag that he's potentially going to command. Pick one to sign of the defensive players we talked about. You going with Judon or you going with Greg Newsom? Type MJ, not for Michael Jordan, but for Matthew Judon. Type GN for Greg Newsom. Check in the comment section and let us know. Appreciate you joining us here on this mailbag edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Subscribe now for the latest happenings in your favorite team all offseason long. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.